Uh, okay, welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner Classics Like Non-Classics. This is episode number 1175. Yep, only 25 more to reach my 1200th episode. This is also the Doubleshot number 1069. I have one Marvel trade, one DC trade. The DC trade is kind of the last one released for this trade series, and this is quite strange, to say the least. Yep. First up, it is Justice Society of America, Volume 7, Axis of Evil. This collects issues 30, I think it's like 34, I think it is. Yeah, 34 to 40. Yeah, this is basically the finale for Bill Willingham's very brief run for this book. Yeah, his run was really short, like 13 issues. Before I got taken over by James Robinson for about 3 issues, and then had the remaining 11 issues done by Mark Guggenheim. Yeah, it's something though, 54 issues, we only had 4 writers for this book. Of course, I wasn't reading the book when it was coming out, surprisingly. I did read the book later, and it's a really good book. This arc is surprisingly, in my opinion, a heck of a lot better than how this run started. Like, it was okay. This one's a lot better. Well, the brownstone that the JSM headquartered in since the group was restarted back in 1999, apparently Bill Willingham, one of the first things he decided to do was have the place destroyed. So the JSA has officially moved into the Secret Sanctuary. Yep. They're here. Only for this story arc, by the way. And like right after this, they team up with the Justice League for a few issues, and then they move to Mountain Point, which they're there for pretty much the rest of this run. There's also a minor gag in here about, oh, I'm sorry that this is the thing, the Second Liberty Belt, aka Justice League Quick, like her and her husband Rick, like, oh, they think that they separated. Nope, they're just on 2 separate teams. That's the gist of it. And this whole story arc is simply with the JSA versus a bunch of neo-Nazis, which, okay, I like that. Because JSA know fighting Nazis. One of whom happens to be Baroness Blitzkrieg, which might be the granddaughter of Baron Blitzkrieg along with Captain Nazi. Yes, there's a guy with that name. And a bunch of other Nazi supervillains. One of whom happens to be a vampire. I don't know if Bill Willingham based his character on Baron Blood. I have no idea, but he kind of did. And they also have this sort of flash forward to about 20 years in the future, where apparently the JSA lost this fight, and it's all told from the perspective of Mr. Terrific. Yep, Mr. Terrific apparently has been considered to be a collaborator, probably because he's wealthy. And all the superheroes, like, there's a small contingent who don't hate him for it, but a lot of them do. Like Jaime Reyes. By the way, this is Jaime Reyes as an adult, mind you. I'd say he's probably in his mid to late 30s, I'd say. And he really wants to kill Mr. Terrific just because he works with the neo-Nazis. And in this future, America is known as the American Reich. And apparently the Fourth Reich took over the entirety of the United States in this future, along with most of Canada and Mexico. This is the stereotypical, what if basically kind of like, what if Nazis in World War II? This is basically what if the Nazis actually defeated the JSA in present day. And they don't have Alan Scott in this future. There's a mention here of Alan Scott being killed prior to the whole thing of being executed in camps. Yeah, and don't worry, this future is definitely averted, thanks to Mr. Terrific having a vision about it. And apparently, we also see Return of Obsidian. Yeah, he's back in the book, and he was found in an egg in this thing called a dark engine, which Mr. Terrific is like, I have never heard of this thing before, but I know what that egg shape is. That's Obsidian. This is overall a really fun story, and Bill Willingham did a really good job with this one. Unlike the first story, which was okay at best. And of course, we also have a guest star appearance in here by the JSA All-Stars, who team up with the regular JSA to take on the neo-Nazis, and they win. Fun stuff here. Give this book roughly a 9.5 out of 10. Great book. final thoughts on kind of the trade series of JSA. Well, in the case of Bill and Williams' run, it had an okay start, but a great ending to it. But here's kind of the strange thing. I have a situation here when it comes to this. Now, I should point out, though, for this particular trade here, apparently on Amazon, this book is somewhat so rare that there's like a few sellers for it. Now, I was lucky to get this damn thing. Yeah, I was extremely lucky. I got this thing for about $8. But here's the interesting thing. The other listing price for this book was completely utter nonsense. Some people on Amazon were trying to sell this book for about $50. $50 for a trade that's over 10 years old. No joke. A trade that came out roughly in 2010. Yes, a 10-year-old trade. $50. That's a stupid idea. Oh, and by the way, what was the original cover price for this book? $14.99, and you want to charge $50 for this damn book. That was ridiculous on Amazon. I was lucky enough to get a good price for this thing. And this is actually technically the last of JSA trades. Now, I'm going to show off all the ones that have been officially released for that collect Just Like America. I have one of the I have like there's like 3 of them basically for Just Like America. Now there is Team History, which does collect the first couple issues. Actually, it's Dark Things. You got Dark Things, which collects the first 2 of 3 issues that James Robinson did. Here's the first trade that collects Jeff Johns with New Age. This was a great start for this book. Yeah. Here's Lightning Saga. I threw this in here because, well, it's a crossover, and plus it's an extra that comes right after New Age. And it's Kingdom Come, Thy Kingdom Come Part 1, which this is the Kingdom Come Superman storyline. Here's Part 2. And Part 3. Yeah, the thing with this storyline was, it's kind of like Jeff Johns fixing some minor problems. Like, excuse me. One example of this is having Adam Smasher's face be fixed and curing this team's Starman of its insanity. And, yeah, that's about just what I can get to it. Though he's not in the next book. Then we have the finale. We have Black Adam and Isis, which this was simply put Jeff Johns tying up a loose end, at least fixing a problem that was left from Grant Morrison when it comes to Black Adam, where he kind of in a way kind of almost eradicated the Shazam family along with the Black Adam family, where Black Adam is smoking hot wife and turned to stone. Osiris is like on the run, and the Wizard Shazam, thanks to some prompting from Billy Batson's father, decided to remove Billy Batson being Shazam. And, of course, we also have Freddie Freeman, the guy who was Captain Marvel Jr. He became the current Captain Marvel up until Flashpoint, where Billy Batson's back being the character. And here's the first of 2 trades that collect the run for Bill Willingham's run. Now, I kind of get the reason why he split the team in 2. My personal theory of the reason why he did this was because the team was so large and they kind of need to split the group up into 2 teams. And then we have the 2 trades that collect Guggenheim's when they come right after the James Robinson run. We have Supertown and Mountain Point. With these 2 trades, it kind of seems as though when you read them, especially when you read these last 7 issues, it seems as though that Guggenheim had a lot more planned when it came to this particular series. It seems like he had like a bunch more stories he wanted to tell. I mean, by the time it has a good ending to it, but it just seems as though that he seems like he really wanted to tell more story with this. But the only reason why, and this is just my personal theory of why this had to happen, like, why was it that he wasn't able to tell his story? The New 52. Yep, that was pretty much the reason why that couldn't happen. But in the case of Just Like America Volume 3, it's a great book. No denying that. I would say just the Bad Seed story arc is the only one that's kind of okay. Everything else is really good for this series. Now, there is one trade that I have been having difficult to get my hands on, and that's Justice League America Rise of Calypso, which is technically the last trade the fish should collect for Justice League America Volume 2. Surprisingly, it is not available on Amazon. I've tried looking for it on Barnes & Noble. They apparently don't have it. I just never had a chance to look at Walmart. This trade is so freaking hard to find, and it's one of the most difficult trades I have ever come across to get my hands on it. Because, yeah, it's the finale for James Thomas's run, not only for Justice League America, but also for his last issue he did for Justice Society America. Now, I get why DC threw in issues 41 43 in the Dark Things trade, because it's Marvel crossover. 43 makes no freaking sense to throw in the last freaking trade. And also, apparently, Omega had a problem getting this one too, the Psychological Collector's Run. Yeah, I've had a problem with this one too, where I try ordering it, and then for some reason the sender lost the freaking package. It's one of two times this has happened to me. Well, I ordered something from Amazon and doesn't get to me at all. But in the case of Axis Evil, that is technically the last trade I didn't own that collected of the main Justice League America series. Yeah, that was the last one, because there was no other trade that I had left to get. Well, there is of course Rise of Calypso, but that's it. This is the last one. And yes, I do know about the trade, the Justice League America by Bad Military. I do know about that trade. I have seen it. All it does is take pretty much this trade here plus the thing with the tornado. It's if I can find it here. What was the name of that book? It was the Tornado Story, I think it was. Yeah. To take that story and this one, pretty much combine into one. Yeah, it pretty much was roughly 13 issues. The first 13 issues of Justice League America Volume 2, along with the 2 issues Justice League America, because Lightning Saga, obviously. And they put that in trade. Surprisingly, Dwayne McDuffie's run has not got that treatment, nor has James Robinson's run for some strange reason. I have no idea. I mean, I would think because Robinson's back at DC, they would do this. Nope. Don't bother to do it for some reason. I have no idea why. Okay, moving on to Marvel, a miniseries, The Web of Black Widow. This collects the 5-issue miniseries written by Jody Houser, a writer who I've met. And there is officially like one artist this whole book, Stephen Mooney. The story of this one is that Black Widow is going after somebody who, this is basically her trying to look into her past, and also deal with someone who's posing as her. No, it's not Yelena again, though Yelena does pop up in here, along with Iron Man, the Winter Soldier, Hawkeye, and in the final issue, even Captain America shows up. There's even a brief guest star appearance by Daredevil, of all people. Yes, frickin' Daredevil. And I got hand to Hauser. Jody Hauser, this was a really good miniseries. Good mystery, good intrigue, and of course, at the end of it, she doesn't get her memories back that were erased, and they're very painful memories for her when she was an assassin. I give this book roughly a 9.5 out of 10. It's a damn good book. Though, for some reason, I don't know why, apparently the way that this artist, when they drew Natasha, they kind of make it look like Donna frickin' Troy from DC Comics. Especially since it made her gauntlets frickin' silver, even though it's supposed to be gold. I mean, here, this is basically her traditional attire. And I'm looking at this picture again, like, is it just me? Or does this picture make Black Widow look like Scarlett Johansson, the actress plays her live action? I'm sure it probably does. Now, the funny thing about Black Widow, I have not reviewed any trades for her. Unlike, let's say, Iron Man, I review a lot of his trades. Captain America, Daredevil. Hawkeye, yes. Mostly the Matt Fraction run, the run by Lemire, and of course the Avenging Archer trade, which collect the Hawkeye Mockingbird, the pretty much like anything for basically Hawkeye collected from solo-wise in a way that came after from the period of like 2009 to about 2012. Yeah, I reviewed that. But at least I reviewed some Hawkeye. Not much Black Widow, surprisingly. Let's see. I reviewed technically this trade right here, though in different format. But yeah, I reviewed this trade. I have reviewed the 2 trades that collect the Mark Waid Chris Simney run for Black Widow. I have also the 2 of 3 trades that collect the Neil Emerson run with Neil Emerson and Phil Noto. It's a great run, by the way, and it's the longest run of Black Widow to date. Yeah, surprisingly it is. Plus an old classic trade that collects some of her early appearances back from the like 60s, 70s, and 80s. So roughly, this is technically the 7th Black Widow trade I have ever reviewed, and it's the first one I own. I was not expecting to get this. I just saw this, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to pass out something written by Jody Houser, especially since I'm a fan of hers, and I love her work. And her work on this one was really, really good. I met her once at Comic-Con about 3 years ago. I met her when she was coming out with her run for Mother Panic. It was just before the first trade was released for the series. And I brought me the sign when I met her. I got her son the Killer Frost one-shot. And here's kind of the strange thing. I looked at her in Twitter the very next day. Apparently, the actress who plays Killer Frost on The Flash just happened to come by her booth with that very same one-shot. And of course, Jody Houser signed it. Which I'm like, okay, that's quite strange. And of course, at that very same Comic-Con, I also met one of Killer Frost's creators, Jerry Conway. Oh yes, but I didn't have him sign that book. No, I have him sign the Vixen book. Yep, I have him sign the Vixen one-shot. Because he created the character too. It's quite strange though when it comes to those one-shot Justice America Rebirth, where 2 of those trades basically feature 2 characters Jerry Conway created. If anybody get a chance to meet Jody Houser in person, she's an absolute wonderful person to meet. Even though, yes, she's not that big of a name when it comes to comic books, but she's one of those rising stars in the past decade. I mean, her first book that she worked on was a book from Valiant called Faith. She did the 2 volumes for it. The first one was a 4-issue miniseries, the second one being a 12-issue ongoing series, along with Faith in the Future Force, and that's all I can think of she did for Valiant. For DC, she did Mother Panic Gotham AD, Mother Panic and Batman, which is a really good one-shot, by the way. And I think that was... Oh, yeah, she also did the Justice America Rebirth one-shot. She did Supergirl. And I think that's pretty much it for DC she did. For Marvel, she did, of course, this. Amazing Summer New Year Vow. She took over after Conway left the book with issue, I believe it was issue number 11. She also did a lot of Star Wars one-shots. She also did the Thrawn miniseries, which I've spoken to Timothy Zahn about that particular miniseries. Even he likes it. He loves that miniseries. He thought that particular miniseries was a very good adaptation of his novel that he wrote. I'm trying to think, what other books does she write for Marvel? Nothing else I can personally think of. Because it seems as though Marvel, aside from her New Year vows, because if you look up basically what she's done for Marvel, a lot of the work that she's done, aside from New Year vows, has mostly put just miniseries and one-shots. It's like Marvel doesn't trust her to do an ongoing series for some strange reason, despite the fact her Mother Panic series, from what I can tell, was actually pretty successful for DC. But Marvel, nope. Don't let her do an ongoing series after what apparently happened with Renew Your Vows. I know friend Tivy was not really a big fan of her run for Renew Your Vows. I liked the book. I still liked it. I thought it was kind of weird. They kind of aged her up, but it's kind of better what Bendis, like what Bendis did with John Kent in the pages of Superman, where they actually aged him up in present day. Unlike in the case of Renew Your Vows, they actually had time skip, which actually was a good reason for the age up. She probably did because she didn't want to write a little girl. She wanted to write a teenager. Even though, yeah, she's probably like another version of Spider Girl. You know, the book she's called Spiderling, which I thought was a silly name. Like, what someone called Spider Girl? Who knows what the reason for it was? And it's something though that Black Widow. I get the reason why Marvel put this miniseries out. The movie's coming out. Hopefully it is. Yes. And mostly put, I'm looking forward to reviewing more stuff for Black Widow. I mean, there's still lots of stuff. There's basically, but in the case of Black Widow herself, she hasn't had much success for an ongoing series, mind you, because Marvel just a lot of the time doesn't give her that really big push. They did it for freaking Winter Soldier, not for the Black Widow, surprisingly. Nope. Yeah, it's like whenever Marvel's tried to give an ongoing series, with the exception of the Emerson run, it just doesn't last very long. Yeah, because Mark Waid was 12 issues. They had one recently where it was like about the same like this for like 5 issues. Like, really? 5 issues? Okay. Yeah. I thought that was kind of weird. Yeah, you basically build up the fact that she's supposed to have an ongoing series, and then you axe the book. Yeah. That's overall been a really big problem for Natasha Romanoff, is that whenever Marvel Comics has tried an ongoing series, of course, as a Black Widow, they don't care to promote it, or they just throw in a miniseries. Because apparently miniseries is like the go-to thing for Black Widow. I get kind of the reason why she doesn't have an ongoing series. There's a very good reason why. She doesn't have a Rogues Gallery. Not much of it anyways. She had like one bad guy that she killed off during her last big one. During the Amazon, she killed off her only bad guy she had. I mean, just give her something to do. Make it like a spy series. I mean, yeah, she's an assassin, yes. Make it like an espionage series. Make it like this. This was good. I love this. And put Jodie Howser on the book because she clearly knows what she's doing. I mean, yes, this is the only thing she's done for Black Widow I can think of. But make Black Widow ongoing series, put Jodie Howser on the book. I'd buy it. I only buy it because I'm a Jodie Howser fan. Yeah. And I'm hoping to review more stuff for Jodie Howser in the future because I love her work. Yeah. Now, in case you're probably thinking about when am I going to do more Fable books? Whenever I get my hands on more of those Deluxe Edition books, because the library really, my local library had like a good chunk. I had almost, those Deluxe Edition ones I got, had pretty much almost the entire 152 series in there. I got to like volume 10 before I had to stop, mainly because of the fact they ran out. Yeah. But yeah, that's it for single review. I might get time to do one more review tonight. Be a review for One Piece, talking about Amazon Lily. And no, I was thinking of doing Boss Lily, but I said Amazon Lily's dead. But I'll discuss that more when I talk about One Piece, okay? But see you next video. Bye.